I love the cop, the one standing in one arm, he has the shotgun and one he has a donut. And Mickey says, drop it. And the guy dropped it and he goes, the gun, goddammit.
Love that scene. I love how he kicks off with the donut too because he throws the donut, the cop catches the donut.
True crime fans out there, hello, and horror fans, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Scary Movie Project. I am your host, Matt. I said true crime fans because today's episode, horror, sort of. It's horrific, but is it a horror film? No, but guess what? Just like The Crow, I don't care. It's my show. Today, I am very, very excited about this film. This is one of my personal... I know I go on and say this all the time, that I love this film so much. It's one of my favorite films ever, but I truly do believe this is one of my favorite films. Two victims of traumatized childhoods become lovers and psychopathic serial murderers irresponsibly glorified by the mass media. Tell me you know what I'm talking about, because I'm talking about Natural Born Killers from 1994. Again, favorite film. Now, I'd always talk about this whenever, but my memory got jogged because I saw a post from my friend, your friend, everyone's friend, Horror Macaroni herself, Lisa Macaroni, is on the show because she loves Natural Born Killers too, don't you, Lisa? You love it, right?
I do love it. It's such a staple of my teenage years. It spoke to me.
See, that's what I'm saying. So this movie is just tremendous, and we're gonna go on, and we're gonna ramble all about it, how great it is in every single moment of it, right? So, 1994, Oliver Stone made this film. Woody Harrelson, Juliette Lewis, Mickey and Mallory Knox, right? You know them, you love them, they're the best. That's what we could have said for you. We know you, we love you, we can't fucking live without her. Is Horror Macaroni's on the show, right? Like the line, there's your first line. I can quote like all these lines, and by the way, I normally keep my I keep my potty mouth out of this show, but that ain't gonna happen today because this movie's pretty much full of profanity. So
yeah, this was hard to keep profanity out.
We're going there. So 1994, Oliver Stone. I was a teenage boy, and at the time, and I wanted to see this film. I saw commercials full of violence and graphic, and I had to see this. And pretty sure I had one of my parents drop me off, and I think they were like, "This is awful." We watched the first minute, and then call me when this film is done, and we'll come pick you up. How did you convince me to take you to this god awful film in the first place? So anyway, I mean, the first scene, right, is just the best. It's this dusty kind of, town. We're in, I don't know, where are we? Nevada, New Mexico. I don't know where we are. And it's
somewhere along the desert.
Yeah. We're in this, Texas, who knows? We're in this cafe. And they come in, and these folks are getting off of work, and they're coming in to, or they're on lunch or whatever, and they come in. And Juliette Lewis and her character's in there, and she turns on a jukebox. She's kind of dancing around, and Woody Harrelson's sitting there eating some pie. And I love when he asks, I'll have a slice of that, key lime pie. I'll give it its day in court, he says, or something like that, and a big glass of non-fat milk.
And non-fat milk, yes.
Non-fat milk.
Always, and that part always sticks out to me with, like, it's an acquired taste, and then the cut to it's an acquired taste.
Yeah, yep. So you figure this couple, she's kind of dancing around, and they come in, and the guy's like, damn, what's that going on? He's all, bad out of hell, son. Why don't you take a run at her or something like that? And the music, I forget the track in it because the soundtrack in this movie is fucking amazing too.
Yeah.
And then right off the bat, the jukebox changes and we get L7 Shitless. I love L7, right? L7 is a badass band. And that comes on, and that quick line, and boom, he's flirting with her, and he just, are you flirting with me?
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I noted during my rewatch was that left hook. It's a left hook she gets on the first time, and it's like,
she is not effing around, dude. She hits this guy, and he doesn't know, and the audience doesn't know what is going on. And he hits him a couple more times, and he starts beating the shit out of this guy, who, by the way, I think is the dad from Varsity Blues.
It is.
It is, isn't it? Yes, it is. When they're having the game play, he has the beer bottle on his head. Yes, I love it. Lance. So she starts beating the shit out of him. And she's yelling at him, throwing his head through stuff. How sexy am I now? You think I'm sexy now, fucker? And it goes on.
Love it.
And his buddy gets up and is like, what the shit's happening? And then Mickey gets up, and it's not polite to point. And he takes a knife and cuts his finger off. And the dude's finger's laying there, and boom, boom. And he just slices this guy up, and he kills him. And at this point, the L7 song is still playing. It's this all-out brawl. And then the bullet where she shoots and it comes fast and it stops and it looks at the woman in the face and then boom, it hits her and she just explodes.
I love that scene so much.
Oh my
too.
God.
It's just like the way it pauses, just like, oh, and then
yes,
that's all you see.
And then the knife, one of the guys starts running out the door and Mickey throws the knife, slow-mo, and this like opera music plays and it hits the window, boom, and it hits him in the back and he drops. And after that, they're sitting there and she goes, no, there is no escape from here. Tells the woman, which one is eeny, meeny, miny.
And that point of view with the finger.
Yep. And you are it. Boom. And she's trying to hold like the coffee thing up, the coffee pot, and he shoots her. And then they say, I love you, Mickey. I love you, Mallory. And then when these people come, you tell them who did it. You tell them Mickey and Mallory Knox did it, all right? And the guy's like, yeah, Mickey and Mallory did it. I got you. Because they always leave somebody. And then the credits drop, dun, 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 and you got that bloody, just like dripping natural,
that
right there.
Like pulpy feel to it too.
Right there. I mean, you could honestly have stopped the film, and it could have been a 5-minute short, and I would have been in love. And I'm like, oh my God, we have a whole movie to watch now. Thank you. Like this is. We're off to this amazing start. What else is going to be better? I always like to say, the beginning of Bram Stoker's Dracula is like epic, right? And the credits are like, oh, right there, I could have just turned it off. But, oh, my God. So, yeah, this movie is just nuts. And so we get into this crazy kind of satire, right, then of a TV show, I Love Mallory, essentially, right?
Yes. Let's not forget when they're in the desert with the full-on, like, thunder kiss, like, feel when she's dancing in the background.
So
and
we have, right, those crazy moments where they're kind of in the desert, and he's just, like, taking a piss, right? And she's just, like, dancing, and what do you say? The whole world's coming to an end, Mal, or something like that. And, you're driving the horses, and you're whipping the horses, and they're dancing, and, whatever. And, again, a great Sweet Jane is playing, right? Like it's and it's so perfect, and they're just kind of hanging out, and they're convertible. We don't know where they are, right? And she's talking about what the first time I remember when we first met or whatever. And then we go into this. My God! And it's this total satire of I Love Lucy, and Rodney Dangerfield is the dad, and as you said, the mother is what's her face? The mom,
Edie McClurg. Yep.
Yes. She's the mom, and then they had a little son who's like a kiss freak. He has like the star, like he's got the Gene Simmons like painting everything, and so it's Mallory, and she's and you can tell like Dangerfield, he is like the worst, like just typical like male, like stereotypical awful like man, abusive father, right? And he ends up he's worse than that. But, he says, they have like the laugh track going on and everything. And they're not having dinner and, well, I can't eat this stuff. But what kind of shit is this? What'd you make this? And he's doing all the Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes.
And it's going to clog your heart. You can't eat this. It's just like this scene is so chaotic and it's so great and it's so funny. And she's, I'm going out now. You're not dressed like that. You're not going out. And then he eventually gets to the point of finding out that Mallory is the kid's mother, I guess. Is that what she was trying to? And it's like, okay, this is getting like so gross and weird.
It gets so chaotic in that moment too.
Oh my God! And then there's a knock at the door, right? And Mickey, delivery of 20 pounds of meat, lady. She's like, I'm gonna check with my husband about this one. I don't know about this. And so Mallory's standing there, and it's like instant love. Like they fall in love like the second they. He's like, where are you going?
You should change your name to Beautiful, and you can just see it.
Yep, right away. And so after that, they leave, and the husband, they come back in the room. Where'd they go? Oh, gone out with the meat man. Be back by midnight. Oh, jeez, what is it? And he steals the car.
That was and
of
a good
course,
impression.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend of mine who loves Rodney Dangerfield. He gets caught, locked up. Grand Theft Auto. We cut to them back in prison. They can't keep their hands off each other, right? They're in this prison. And what happens later, which I love then, is this is again, are we in New Mexico? Is that where this actually is happening?
That's where I think it is. Yeah. My always thought was like Texas, Mexico, right around there.
Yeah, because it's always these, desert scenes and things like that.
Yes.
So Mickey's out in the yard one day, and they're out there, and they're cleaning up whatever. Tornado comes through. They're getting everybody on the bus, and Mickey looks around, and he's like, nope, like this. Grabs the cop off the horse. Takes up on the horse, and he's like a cowboy is riding away like into the tornado, right? Which you love it.
Absolutely, like Texas Pete.
Yep. So surreal. He escapes, right? Comes back, knocks on the door, comes back to the house. Hey, Jack, Mickey's back, And Dangerfield is sitting in his underwear, literally in his underwear, in his like stained wife beater, drinking a beer, yelling at the TV, watching wrestling. Come on, you fucking pussy! What are you doing? It's just like this guy is. This character is so awful. And we should mention. I know because it's terrible. We got to mention it. That scene before. He's like putting his hands on Mallory and he's grabbing her and he's groping her and, I'm going to take a shower with you and it's going to be a good shower and it's going to be clean and it's so disgusting. And but it's perfect because you need to know like what the setting of the world she lives in.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah.
World building. We get a sense of why it's so easy to fall back into this pattern. Right. And fun fact real quick about that Texas piece.
Yeah.
There is a stuntman who falls underneath a horse during the filming of that, and they left it in. He luckily was not injured during that.
Yeah, people definitely are falling. Like I think like the shotgun goes off at one point, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, well, that's good to know. As long as he didn't get hurt, thankfully, right? So.
Right.
So we go back to I Love Mallory again, and I love like the house. Like, don't you love like the fake wallpaper of like the street lamps?
The street lamps, yes.
She's got this like green hair. I don't know what's going on with this family. I don't want to live with them. I'm glad they're not my family. But he comes back and they try to fight. And he goes, okay, no, I'm going to show you out of you, buddy. And they just start beating the hell out of each other. And they dunk his head and they drown him in a fish tank after he hits him with a tire iron. Yes. And she's like, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. And they go upstairs and they tie up the mom. And what does she say? You never did nothing. And just lights the bed on fire. And it's burning. And they're about to leave. And they see the kid. The kid, Kevin, comes out of the room. And she just goes to him and goes, you're free, Kevin. And they take off.
You're free. Take off.
And they take off, right? And the murder spree pretty much begins, right? And
in fact, I have a body count. That's where it begins. Yes, I have a body count. It was 140. Well, I have 145.
God. I believe every one of them, too. I believe you.
Yeah.
I totally believe you. Oh, man. So that's when we get to meet our friend Wayne Gale, don't we?
Yes.
Okay. So please share this thought to me and make sure I'm not crazy. You want American Maniacs to be a real television show, don't you?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. This would be my comfort show if this existed.
I would watch it every week. It would be so great. So that's what I love about the production too, is they make, a show within a movie thing here, right? So anyway, Robert Downey Jr., he's great. Comes on as Wayne Gale, an Australian. He's essentially based on Geraldo. He's a shock jock. But he has a show called American Maniacs where he follows around the country, talks about Manson and John Wayne Gacy and and he's talking about, from out here, Route 666 from Cortez to Shiprock to, and he's talking about all the different, where Mickey and Mallory go and, he does the reincarnate and with the cop talking about.
The dramatization is one of my favorite moments.
Oh, my God. What's his face just out of the academy, comes out of the store with a cup of coffee and he's crying, and my bear claw.
Oh, and my bear claw.
Are you more sad the guy got killed or you lost your donut? Like, I don't really know right now. And it's just so great because he talks about, the dramatizations are so corny. And when they shoot like the bicyclist scene, that was just like too much for me.
Flying off.
Yes. And it's just like, it's just so over the top. And Robert Downey Jr. as Wayne Gale is just, he's perfect. He is 110% in love with himself. And he cares nothing about anybody else except getting these ratings. And he's talking with these guys about how to edit these things and Mickey and Mallory. And then I think that's when we have those moments of like the Vox Pop and the man on the street, right? And we get to see what society thinks of these people, right? And so what is your take then of, we see these different groups of people, like these teenage kids and then these British folks are talking. Like, what did you think of that whole like montage?
I love that montage because I think it really kind of hammers in the point of this whole movie of like the satirical like look of how media portrays violence, right? Yep. And we have the kids, the youth of the generation of like, it's nothing, and they're like, oh, go Mickey now, and then the fanatic that goes like the fanatic that goes overseas too, right? In Japan.
Mickey and Mallory, they're so cool.
Yes, I love that part. And this is also I had to make this joke, and I made it in my note to make this too. This is Robert Downey Jr. where this is his era of like, Bad Boy and all
Hmm.
that stuff. And one of my favorite Simpsons jokes of all time, where
Okay.
they're in Hollywood, and they're like, and on the left, you can see Robert Downey Jr. having a shootout with the cops for a new movie. And Bart goes, I don't see any cameras. I
Anytime
threw
we can
that in
drop
there.
a Simpsons reference, we have a successful program.
Yes,
Oh, thank you for that. That is so
of
great.
course.
I mean, yeah. Anytime we get I don't get enough Simpsons references. And shout out to the Doe Show if anybody wants. Don't forget our watch our episode on all the Simpsons of Treehouse Terror with Johnny from the Doe Show. But yeah, so that right. He's like, you got James Dean and whatever, and Mickey and Mallory, and then there was three like high school kids that were like, don't get us wrong, we believe in life and all, but like, if I want to be a mass murderer, I'm going to be Mickey and Mallory, man. Like,
Yes.
it's so perfect. It's so perfect. So, what happens after that? They're kind of driving around. They're going on their spree, and then we get to that great point. I remember where, and this reminded me. I don't know why. It reminded me of Eyes Wide Shut in the sense that
Mhm.
they go and they get a hostage, right?
Yes.
Well, they also had that kind of moment when they're in the desert, like kind of figuring out what they're going to do, and they have that fight. Oh, they get married. Let's not forget the wonderful
They get
marriage
married.
ceremony.
Yes.
The marriage
Yep,
ceremony.
they get married. I
Cut
also
the
made a note,
hand.
cut the hand and the snake rings that they have. And
Uh-huh.
I actually did make a note too that that ring would rip every single hair out of my head if I wore that.
Oh, I would imagine that looks like it would probably be painful for anybody. Yeah, I would think so. So their marriage ceremony is actually very. I mean, these are two completely psychotic people, but their ceremony is very nice, right?
Yeah,
I
I
love
refuse to
Mickey
murder anybody on my wedding day.
because they're driving by. God, shut up. Yeah, right. And he's like, by the power vested in me and my world, I'm going to go ahead and marry essentially. And I love like the cartoon where they put the hands and the droplets come and it's like the snakes and everything. So that's why I think New Mexico, because that is a famous bridge in Taos, New Mexico, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? Fun
It's a
fact.
big suspension bridge in Taos, right? Isn't it? I
Ah,
think.
I'm going to take your word for that.
I think it is.
100%. Because it looks like it would be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the view, the way that everything was filmed, I could imagine so. And I love that animation too, right? When
It's
it
very
hits the
cool.
water, turns into snakes. And
Yeah.
then we kind of have seen like almost like a foreshadowing in that moment for later
Right.
on, right?
Right. And I thought that was so. If you ever want to get married to anybody and need a place, just go to the bridge there and get yourself married. You don't need anybody. It's all good, right?
It's good, right?
So they kind of just go on their killing spree. They're kind of just driving around. They get a hostage and they bring her back to the hotel and they're fucking well. She's there and Mallory gets angry. Why are you looking at her? What are you doing? What's the matter with you? And so she gets up and she's like, I gotta go. I gotta leave. And it's this like eyes wide shut deal where almost like they've got to go on this sexual exploration for themselves moment or something. I don't know.
Yep.
But she goes off to a gas station. She's got the blonde wig on, right? She's dressed up. And she, says, fill it up. She's like totally horny. She'll fuck anything at that point. And she's, walking back and she's the Corvette Stingray in the garage. And the guy at the
Yes.
gas station's like some 19-year-old kid, right? He doesn't know anything. And he walks
And
back.
the
Go ahead.
19-year-old kid, he is Peter Dayton from Lost Highway, the mechanic from Lost Highway too.
Yep. Yes, he is.
So he's
what is his
typecasted like
name?
a mechanic from here on out.
What is his? He has a really cool name, the actor. I don't remember it.
Balthazar
Balthazar Getty.
Yes.
How cool is
Balthazar
that?
Getty.
Right?
Yes.
How cool is
Yeah,
that?
right? Like an epic name. That's a 1-2 punch hit
Yeah.
name.
So she's like, come on, let's go right here on the car, right? And they start making out and she gets all pissed off because she has this vision of like her dad, I think, right? And she just like, fuck this. And she gets up and she shoots him. She doesn't care. And he's obviously dead. And she goes, God, worst fucking head I ever got. Next
My
time,
favorite line of the
next time,
movie.
don't be so eager.
Don't be so fucking eager.
It's like, well,
I
he's
love
dead,
that.
so he ain't gonna be eager anymore. Yeah,
Mhm.
and she's just like, fuck this, and walks back and takes off. It's hilarious. Then we get to meet Jack Scagnetti, right? Tom Sizemore. And Tom Sizemore, who died like a year ago, right? Didn't he?
I think so. Like
Yeah.
like last year.
Yeah. He is a interesting cop.
He is.
But he sees like the imprint, and he's like, no, that's an ass right there.
I love that whole scene. Just every little bit of
Yeah.
like the details that go into it.
Right? And he pulls like a hair out of the mouth and he's like, oh, because so his life's mission at this point is to find Mickey and Mallory. It is to
Right.
get them. So we find out more about what happened to him and like shortly later on, right? So
Right.
after that, then I think there's a scene where I remember when the cop is following them, and they're so nervous, and they like hide the mushrooms, and they're tripping hard, and they're doing all this shit.
Yeah, but I like the line. She's like, "Oh God, it's the cheese."
Yeah. Oh shit, it's the cheese. And then he drives away, and he's like, "Yeah, go eat more. Go ahead, coach. Go eat some more fried bread." They were out of gas, and that's when they start yelling again, whatever, and they got to start walking. And that's when they go, and they end up finding the dude that lives out in. I mean, this is like some. I don't want to say it's a reservation or a ranch, but older Native American guy, and he's living there with, I guess, his grandson, right? And they're essentially living in like a tent, really. I mean, it's a little like
kind of like a yurt.
Yeah, like a yurt. There you go, exactly. And they kind of just stumble in. They're like, "Hey," and he's so offensive. Of course, he's like, "We got plenty of tobacco. You want some tobacco?" Like,
yeah, right.
Wow. So
and it's just like the camera work when they're going into it, like into the yurt for the first time. That like really glitchy, like just uneasy feeling that you're like, "Ooh, what's happening?"
Exactly. And so they come in and they're asking, "Do you have any gas?" Whatever. Doesn't speak English. Lets them stay though, and just this weird things start to happen. You realize this guy doesn't really, he kind of has an idea what's going on. And there's rattlesnakes like living in this place, and like, oh my God. And he starts telling these stories about like the demons and stuff. And I love these shots because that's when you get those superimposed text on Mickey and Mallory. It says like demon, or what does it say on her? What is one of them? I think, I can't remember what it said.
Yes,
oh, watches too much TV or something.
TV, yes.
Yes. And it's just like, oh my God, it's amazing. He lets them stay, he feeds them, they eat, and she's like, Mallory's trying to be really nice. Like, she's genuinely, the only moment you ever see of her where she's like a genuine, decent human being for a second, because he's showing her like what went wrong with his son, I guess, like through the army or whatever, right? She's like, "Oh, that was your baby," and stuff. And you have like a moment of humanity with her, and it's really interesting. And he's talking about his wife, and he does one of these, like, okay, his wife's died and everything, and this is a nice man, you think, and you're like, I hope this doesn't end badly, which, And then they fall asleep, and he's like doing like almost like an exorcism or something kind of thing, and Mickey starts having these dreams, and you realize these dreams of this little boy and this man going to a field and like killing, and like, oh, this was what happened to him when he was a kid. His dad was this awful alcoholic, and he's committing suicide, and he has this horrible night, and he wakes up and he fucking shoots the dude.
Shoots him, yeah.
And shoots the guy, and you're like, oh my God. And then I love like the bad dog mouth. Bad. You're so bad. And the two of them actually like feel bad. They did not mean to do this. They did not want to kill this man. And she's like, he fed us. Why did you do this? Oh my God.
He was good to us. You killed him.
And then the grandkids like yelling at him. And then the spooky, they're like, okay, we got to get out of here. And they go to the truck. The truck won't start. Then you see they light up the ground, and it is nothing but rattlesnakes.
It's like a minefield of rattlesnakes.
Oh, and you're like, oh my God. And it bites her. And he picks her up and he puts her over his shoulder, and he starts walking out with her, and it gets him too. And you're like, oh my God. Oh. So they take off eventually. They're driving. You see they're like in the car, like about to die.
And you see him trying to suck out the poison out of her ankle at one
nasty.
point. Like, and you just see like the background as it's going, the car's just kind of bouncing. You're just seeing all the background. It's just haunting. Like,
it's awesome. Then they end up at Drug Zone.
I wrote that in big letters. Drug Zone.
Drug Zone, which has this lovely, beautiful lime green cast in the footage the whole time. It's perfect, right? It's perfect for the situation. He comes in, says the guy, Rattlesnake took a chunk of me and my wife back there. You got any more of this stuff here? And he's looking around, and the guy had been watching American Maniacs, I think, right? On the TV, and he's like, oh shit, Mickey Knox is here. And he hits the silent alarm. He triggers it. Mickey doesn't see it. Then he looks, and he sees and he sees himself on TV. He's like, I'll be damned. And then he sees, oh shit. And he sees the alarm and he jumps back there and he gets his gun, and the guy's like, no, don't shoot. And he's trying to put the snake. And then while he's doing all this, he sees like Viagra or something. He's like, this shit keep you hard.
Yeah. I love that like break in that.
There's this great moment of like, do I want this? Okay, I don't know. And so the clerk, of course, is like, well, don't you leave someone or whatever? And he's like, what is he? He says something to him, right? Doesn't he? or I forget what he says, but he ends up shooting him,
Yeah,
obviously.
like something about being left behind, or don't you leave once to like tell this tale or something like
Yeah,
that? And he like points at the camera or something like
that's
that.
right. Shoots him. Then he starts
Yeah.
coming out, and he comes out to a scene where he's not prepared for, where like pretty much the entire police department of New Mexico, I think, is pretty much on site. And of course, our friend Jack Scagnetti has arrived. And he's got Mallory, and he's like, I swear to God, I'll cut her fucking tits off. I swear to God. And he's like, you won't do it. You won't. I'll buy her some silicone. I don't need to even worry about it. Because he's like hiding behind he's hiding behind the register, and there's a shootout, and Stagnetti cuts her, and she's like screaming. He's like, no, stop. Oh, okay, I'll come out. And he's like, y'all want the big bad wolf? And he walks out. And I love the Asian news media is there.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, he seems to have a very large gun, or it's just like hiding behind the car.
Hiding behind the car.
Right,
yes.
hiding behind the car. And they come out, and he ends up having a knife. He drops his gun, but he has a knife, and he hits one of them, right? And they kind of a standoff for a second, and they tase him. And I think the news report says something funny again, and I can't remember that line. But basically, and Scagnetti drops back, and he's like, hey, Mickey, you want a drink? And he's got his flask, and he's just like standing there having a drink. And they just beat the shit out of him as like the camera raises. And of course, you know, this is only 2 years after some terrible, you know, Rodney King stuff, and you can't like help but like kind of, okay, here's this media stuff, right? Here's this whole thing now coming together. Like you have to think about that in that scene, kind of, I think.
Absolutely. And then that's where we get that transition, right? 1 year later, now we're in the prison.
Yeah. And I think then, is that when Scagnetti shows up to him and we meet, is it
McCluskey?
Dale McCluskey, is it, I guess, or Dwight
Dwight McCluskey, yes.
Yeah, who is Tommy Lee Jones.
Love it. First off,
he's
I just
amazing.
Love his character in this movie
he's so
much.
great.
In
all my days in the penal system, and that ain't no small amount of days now, is it, boys?
It's so funny too, because I think about like how he famously told Jim Carrey like he was too silly for his acting or whatever, and it's such a like juxtaposition of what characters he really plays, like very calm, you know, cool and collected. He just like off the top just beat random 90% of the time.
He like loses like his temper in like a heartbeat. Like he just anything makes him like just done. He's just done with you. So Scagnetti shows up. And, you know, talking about reading his book, and one of the guards, like, loves him. He's like, yeah, I read your book twice, and whatever, how about an autograph, and whatever. It's so corny. But that's when Scagnetti starts, you know, how'd you get into that? And he tells him his mother was killed by Charles Whitman at the Texas shooting, right? Yeah, and it's like, oh, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he described, you know, boom, her chest explodes, and boom, her hip explodes. And it's like, ever since then, I kind of have like a, you know, a hatred for killers now. And it's like, okay. And while he's doing it, it's this great scene because they're walking through the prison on their way to Mickey and Mallory. And you see the shots of like the inmates like behind the cells, and like the guy with like the mirror, and like they're just kind of staring, and these looks in these people's eyes, and these like, you know, scary, for lack of a better, scary looking folk. I don't know how better to put it, right? Like you're kind of creeped out. And they go to the cafeteria, and that one guy just like making the eyes of that one guy. And he's like, what are you looking at? And then they fight, and he pulls out like he has these fucking like tweezers, like pliers that he has with him, right?
And with the nose.
Yes. You were gonna say something.
And I was going to mention this. I love the line that Scagnetti says, because you can see how much of a hair trigger Tommy Lee Jones, like how McCluskey does, when he's like talking about, he does that, like, you're from Texas, you don't have an accent. He's like, I don't want to talk like those assholes. He goes, my mother's from Texas. He goes, I meant those other assholes.
Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, that was a great line. That was a great line. That was great. I meant those other assholes. Oh, boy. So, yeah, that great walk that takes you through. You see this whole prison, and it's this whole, like, just, and there are these different shots of video, then film, then color, then black and white, and it's so, we'll get to the production bit. You know, that's just so great. And they get down to Mallory's cell. And that's the line that I love. You know her, you love her, you cannot fucking live without her, Mallory Knox. Yes. And she's singing Born Bad, and then she runs to the door and bang, hits her head on, and she's like, whoa, oh, don't worry, she does it all the time. And
so just like, yep, that's her.
Yeah, she's fine. And he's like, where do you keep Mickey? I'll keep that, you know, piece of world-class shit down in, you know, whatever, down the bowels. But he's got a very special guest right now. Wayne Gale's here. And he's like, what? Sagnetti has nothing but contempt for Wayne Gale. And he's like, well, forget that. And so Wayne Gale, Mickey, you got to come on this program. It's going to be so wonderful. We're going to have a Super Bowl ad. And he wants to have him on the Super Bowl, to tell his story, right? And I love when he's talking to him and he's like, your show got great ratings. And he's like, better than, Bundy? Oh, yeah. Better than Manson? And he goes, yeah, Manson got you. And he's, tough to beat the king.
I love that. And I love, too, because when it says, like, Super Bowl Sunday, too.
Yes.
I just love that it's not like a just distinctive day or time. It's just whatever Super Bowl Sunday.
And what better media than Super Bowl Sunday, right? Yes. I mean, that's perfect, right? So I love that. And he, basically he agrees to do it. Let's do it. They're dragging him away, and he's like, hey, you didn't even answer me. And he's like, yeah, let's go for it. So Wayne Gale is like super excited. So this idea couldn't possibly be a worse idea, obviously. But,
right. No,
I mean, what could go wrong, as they say? So, of course, they bring the crew in, and they set everything up, and they're going to go live, and Mickey's sitting there, and, they have this great, I love it. It's this great back and forth of, telling these stories, and he's saying about how, how the deer kills, and nature just killing, and I kill, you kill, it doesn't really matter, nothing really matters, whatever. And they cut to commercial a couple times, and there's these funny scenes of, like, his production assistant, like, wolfing down donuts.
Yes.
Great scenes. And, McCluskey gets a call, and, we have a riot, and, like, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, Mr. Gale, close up your cameras. We have a riot on our hands. And he's like, no, we can't. We're in the middle. We can't stop this now. And you can kind of see where it's going at this point. And then I love. So we got the soundtrack, of course, is tremendous, too. And we're Rage Against the Machine fans. Hopefully everybody is. But I just love then. So McCluskey leaves with some other folks and some people leave. And things kind of get interesting because then it's just Mickey. And he's in the cell with the cameras on. Wayne Gale and his crew and like 4 or 5 guards. And he's just kind of walking around without any handcuffs or anything. And he's telling the story. And he's like, oh, you ever heard of this one before? And tough room here. So Johnny goes to drive through. So what are they doing? He says, well, they were doing this and kissing and making out. Oh, they were making out. He says, well, what were you doing, Johnny? He gives like one of those. And he goes, oh, Johnny, no. And that scene then, was it Bomb Track, I guess, drops in. And then boom. And Mickey just hits the guard, grabs the shotgun, and it's playing, and they're blasting that song. And boom, slow-mo of him, one guard. Takes them all out. And he takes out half the camera crew, too. And there's that scene where he also has like that growl they drop in. It's like this like primitive like growl from him. And then I love the cop, the one standing in one arm, he has the shotgun and one has a donut. And Mickey says, drop it. And the guy dropped it and he goes, the gun, goddammit.
Love that scene. I love how he kicks off with the donut too, because he throws the donut, the cop catches the donut, everything ensues, and then he turns back, he's like, drop it. The gun. that timing with that song is so perfect, and it works. I can't think of what would have been a better song to use, honestly. That hits so well. That was a perfect needle drop.
Oh, dude. Like, and at that point, you realize this is going to be haywire. So he asks Wayne Gale, I'm all right, I'm okay. And half his crew's dead. One guy's still around, a couple guards. So he says, okay, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves out of here. And that's when, at this point in the movie, just, for those that say they can't do the violence and stuff, this is where their point might be taken, I suppose, because the next half hour, the third act of the film was nothing but just violence in a prison riot. And, like, guards getting thrown into, like, ovens and, like, washing machines, right?
And that tracking shot just with everybody getting their throats slit. And right before that, with Sagnetti and Mallory in the
we gotta get to that. Yes.
And that
part. So go ahead, talk about that scene, because that's happening. That's that parallel edit moment where those things are happening. Yeah.
Right. And I think that parallel is great too, because we're also seeing that kind of like that choppy kind of style that Oliver Stone has put into this movie, right? And she's like kind of pulling him in. And I actually made a note that how Tom Sizemore does such a good job at looking through people in this movie. Like, he has a way of his eyes that like literally looks through somebody like they're not there. And when he sees Mallory, he has a similar look, but it's so unnerving. Like, it's almost like fanatic. Like, he's like looking at her like, oh my God. And then we have that scene, right? Where it's like, I've been thinking about sex. I've been thinking about fucking. And we see like the three different parallels at the same time, And then fun fact, as we know, Mallory grabs him and slams it into a wall. And she actually broke Tom Sizemore's nose during the filming of
Oh,
that
for real?
scene.
Like, actually did it?
Yes, she actually broke his nose.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, and then we get the repeat line, right? How sexy am I now, fucker?
How sexy am I now? I do love that line. So
I
that was the
love how they brought her
scene.
right back around.
So that was the scene also where he basically tells the guards like to get lost, and like
Yes.
he's just gonna hang out with her, and they're like, well, I don't know, but okay, fine, whatever. And they kind of, so yeah, and I love she smokes a cigarette, and she drops the cigarette, and she puts it out with her bare foot, doesn't she?
Barefoot.
Yeah.
Yes, I could
Yeah.
feel that. Like, ooh.
Yeah, that was a ow moment, but it kind of just shows like who she is or whatever. But and so yeah, and then the riot's going off, and Mickey's dragging these folks around with him. He's holding them hostage. They get down to the cell, and that's when the shoot, and that's when they kill all the guards, and then it's Mickey and Scagnetti. Listen, we got ourselves a Mexican standoff. He tells them.
Standoff.
And so what Scagnetti doesn't know, I got you right between the eyes, Mickey. I swear to God, I'll shoot you right here. And what Scagnetti doesn't know, of course, is Mallory's behind him. And so Mickey sees it, and he goes, oh, okay, you got me. But he still had the balls, though, I think. Why would you still have dropped the gun, though, even though you knew she was there? Even if I'd be afraid he'd still shoot me, right?
Absolutely. I
know.
thought that too. I was like, I
Yeah.
would still hold back.
I would say you got me, but I don't know. But anyway, so she jumps up and sticks the knife in his throat. And he's laying there with that thing just sticking, like he's like alive still, but you know. And then he tells him, Mickey tries to use, oh, I guess you're getting soft on you or something. I ran out of shells. And Mallory's
Yes.
like, I got it. And she just looks at him and just bang, pulls the trigger. That's the end of him. And then it's just this all-out riot in the prison, and it's crazy.
Absolutely.
And this is like when Wayne Gale then we run into, is it Owen?
Owen, yes.
Owen.
And this, so cool thing, real quick, I wanted to jump back real quick. 'Cause I
yeah.
also wanted to highlight how Scagnetti dies on live TV getting shot. And
Sure
right
does.
before this, he mentioned Lee Harvey Oswald being shot
Yeah.
on camera live.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the parallel that's right there
Uh-huh.
too, especially because like this, all the true crime stuff too. I thought that was a really cool, like, I see what they did there.
But you also know that, like, in reality, he probably wants to die that way, doesn't he? That's
Of
how he
course.
wants to die. He
Blaze
doesn't
of
want to die.
glory,
Yes.
live on
Yes.
TV.
Of course he does. Killed by the people who are out to get him, right? It's
And
just like fitting.
Exactly. My note was, bye, Skags.
I like that. Yeah, no one's sad he's dead. No
Yes.
one's gonna miss him. He's a pretty shitty dude. So yeah,
Absolutely.
the prison riot where they find, oh hey Mickey, come this way, Mickey, come on, and you don't know who is this guy, and they follow him, and he's kind of crazy. Like, this is where I come to think when things get hectic. It's like, what are you talking about, dude?
Same vibe as like, this is where I go to cry, where Milhouse
Yes!
says The Simpsons.
Yeah, this is where exactly. You know, when things get crazy here in this prison, I just come and hang out here. And he takes him back there, and you know he's dragging one of these prison guards who's basically dead at this point. Wayne Gale's like alive now. He's so excited, and he's and I've never been so alive in my life. And then he's like shooting prison guards, and Mickey's like, "Why don't you calm down a little bit, dude? All right, you all right, man?" And
When the killer is telling you to calm down.
Exactly, yeah. There's something going on. Then they end up in that shower room, and they got these fucking bodies hanging, and it's so gross. It's like the most disgusting scene, I think, right? The walls are covered in blood. It's so nasty. Shower room. And that's when he calls his wife and says, I hate you, I'm leaving you. And then he's cheating on his girlfriend, and it just totally melts down. And he's like, I love you, I hate all of you, blah, 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 blah. And then maybe my favorite line is when he's walking back over and Owen's sitting there shooting, and he looks back at him and he goes, it's nice to be working with you, Wayne Gale. You do a lot of good for people.
I love that line.
I'm just like
love
falling off my seat letting I hear that.
when the Kava, I can't remember one of the cops goes,
Kavanaugh, you stop slacking off, Kavanaugh.
yeah, and he goes, Scagnetti's dead. To Tommy Lee Jones, he goes,
Yo, okay, thank you. Yes. So that's when they're having their riot, and McCluskey doesn't know. He's looking at the monitors, and he's like losing his mind, and he goes, update, what's going on? Mickey and Mallory are loose. Oh, and he looks like that, and he goes, Scagnetti's dead, and he goes, meh. He doesn't really
I just even put that face like that. She's like, oh, okay.
his like physical like comedy like body language is so good in this. He's so good. Yeah.
that's that whole scene when they're doing the interview. His body language is like so vibes. In the
It's
minute, like
great.
something almost, and he's just like such a like. I love
Yep.
it.
Jesus, Harold, Christ, why is this happening to me? So,
Shut down, you practical.
yep. So then they meet up at the stairwell, and they got the guns are on, and they have the crew, the camera's still running, and McCluskey's like, end of the road, Knox, you're not going anywhere, and then they shoot Wayne Gale through the hand, and he's like, we're going to walk right out that front door, and they walk right down the stairs while they're alive. And by the way, we've tapped into the newsroom at this point, and that woman's already come on saying, like, hey,
Antonia, yeah.
Wayne, we're live at Batongaville.
Antonio Chavez.
Yeah, and she's like reporting, and I mean, could you imagine watching this live? Oh my God. But
I
anyway,
love how like at first she's like shoving her way on when she's first getting on TV, and then later on she's just like,
yeah, we're live. I mean, you can't miss a story like that. You got to get on. So they just start walking out, and McCluskey's standing right there with them, and he really can't do anything, and he can't do a thing about it. And he's like, we're walking right out the front door. And he says, oh, no, you're not. Oh, yes, we are. And they essentially walk out the door. And when they shut that door, then you see like 15 prison guards just like line up, kneel down, and start shooting the prisoners as they come. And they get to McCluskey. And it's like a scene from like Day of the Dead. Remember when they kill the dude from Day of the Dead? They rip his head off and everything?
Oh, yes.
And they just tear his ass apart. He's dead within like seconds, right?
Seconds. Absolutely. And they have his head on the stick. They have it impaled.
I love it.
Yes.
And no one is sad that he's dead. Not that he's a terrible guy, but he's a shitbag. I mean, let's be honest.
He's a shithead, yes.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He chose having his prison on television than keeping people safe, quite frankly. So you're not going to feel bad about that.
My note actually I put it was like, I have the director's spot, so impaled head.
Love it. It's great. Head on a stick. Yep. So they walk out the door, and they get out, and they end up that great scene at the end where they're out in the woods, and the camera's still running, and Wayne Gale is excited, and he can't wait for what's next. Where do we go now? And then we ain't going nowhere right now. We're about to blast you. And he's like, what are you talking about? We did all this stuff, and we're friends. And he goes, listen, it's not about you, you fucking egomaniac. I kind of like you, actually, but we got to kill you. And he's, does his last report, and, helicopters will not deploy, and I don't know what's happening and whatever. And they're like, just stand there, dude, have some dignity. And he just like puts his hands up, and they just unload on him, and they kill him.
Unload.
Because the line he has is, don't you always leave someone? And he goes, yeah, we do. Your camera.
And
he's like, oh, shit. And then we find out we were still alive. We were still alive. The woman, that's when you see the woman is like, oh my God, in the newsroom. She can't believe what she just saw. So that's it. And they walk off, and the camera dies. And then you get the message of the film within 30 seconds, where it then cuts to about, 5-6 seconds of the Menendez brothers on the stand crying, OJ in court, Waco burning.
I think Rodney King.
Yeah, Rodney King asking, can we all get along, right?
Yes.
And it's just this quick, 30-second montage of these moments that have happened all in the last couple of years leading up to this film. Some just recently before the movie was even made. Yes. And then it cuts the credit, but then we get the credits of them in an RV years later with kids, and they're just like driving the open road, and it's just like
just living life on the road. And it's funny because she's also wearing the muumuu, like her mom was, and the wig, like her mom was.
It's great.
And
like,
kind of like that.
You're in the backseat, shut up, kids, we're trying to drive, kind of moment. Oh my God. And then that's it, and it ends, and you're just like,
it ends.
Is there more? Because I need more. I need more. Oh my God. So I don't know. I've seen this movie, 25, 30 times at least, probably more, I would guess. Like I said, we could just quote the movie all day long, and we could just do that.
Absolutely.
The lines. I mean, I quote myself saying stuff all the time from it for just funny lines. I mean, like you said, your favorite is, the shitheads live in Texas or whatever. I love it's great to be working with you, Wayne Gale. You do a lot of good for people. I mean, these lines.
Love that line.
Comedy and horror are like peanut butter and jelly. I say it all the time, right? They really work together.
Absolutely. And, with a movie like this, especially because, obviously we know that Quentin Tarantino wrote the movie. Like, we know that famously he wrote this.
Right.
We know that it's been changed. We know that, right? And it kind of gives that same thing as like True Romance, right? Like Bonnie and Clyde type of thing. Obviously, he had like some kind of a fantasy about like running away with somebody.
Obviously, it seems that way, doesn't it?
That's to each their own. I'm not going to yuck a yum, but I will say this: like with this movie in particular, it's interesting because I think Oliver Stone he does have an eye for these things, and famously, again, the script was like either half finished or like all finished, but then it would be like changed a couple of times. And then we got
Yeah.
the most expensive college film ever
Yep.
filmed.
Essentially.
Yes.
I
Um,
mean, see, yeah, Tarantino story. He's credited with the story. Is that what the right? And I think
story, yes.
he's now disowned this. Correct?
Yeah, he's disowned it
Yeah.
since I was watching an interview right before this, just talking about how much was changed. And really, the beginning scene is really one thing. I say one thing, but it's one of the main things they kept the same. That opening scene, which
Okay.
is iconic, as we know. We
Oh,
also have
it's just
the diner
the best.
scene in Pulp Fiction. We have like kind of a parallel, like the
Two
opening in
great
the
diner
diner.
scenes. Yeah.
Yes, Reservoir Dogs, same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
have a very big diner approach.
The Mulholland. No, not the
Mulholland
same.
Drive.
But I always think of that because I think of the person that lives behind. But we're not going to go there, please. So
Oh, I
anyway.
love that scene. My husband
Oh
like
God.
loves that movie so much. We've seen it a few times.
Oh God.
Um,
But yes,
but it's just
yeah, Tarantino, right?
absolutely, but we get like a nightmarish pop culture whiplash with this movie in like a really good in a way that I appreciate. I know
Mm-hmm.
you appreciate too. This is one of your favorites, but it's such a movie that really kind of pushed it pushed something that we never got to see before. And I think that's what kind of like stands out about it too. The vibrant colors, the back and forth, it's just jarring.
That's the stuff that I got to get into, right? So, I mean, I think I mentioned this before. This could have been a movie about, I don't know, making paper mache. But
Yeah.
I would have been in love with it because the editing is just, it's just tremendous. So is it Robert Richardson? He's the DP, I think, of this cinematographer in this. I mean, like for real, dude.
Brilliant.
He
Yes.
he did like I think he's done some other Oliver Stone, JFK. His resume is just unbelievable. JFK, I think he did some of the Kill Bills, one of them.
Hmm.
It's just incredible, this guy. And I mean, look at this film with the rear projection, right? The scenes where
Yes.
they're driving in the car and the horses and just the like the stuff that seems to be nonsense, but it all does make sense. And these disturbing images and like the shots of like people like dressed and covered in blood that are so fast, they're just one frame, so you don't know that you even saw anything.
Yes.
And the shots of film, beautifully exposed film, then black and white video, then like VHS, and just oh my God, it's just like incredible.
And then memories that looks like home movies are like super
Yes.
personal, like,
Mickey's
really big things.
and Mickey's like remembering his dad, like those old shots are like just so
Mhm.
tremendous. So, I mean, the way I think it's got what over 3,000 cuts, I think, right? And the story is what an average film has 500 to 600.
Something like that,
Yeah.
yes.
So that gives you an idea. This is kinetic. It is just the pacing. You can't ever get bored. I mean, like I watched it maybe a month ago again, and I hadn't watched it in a while. And that first scene, the diner scene, I remember like sitting up on my couch and like kind of like getting like
Like,
excited.
yes, it just gets it going, right? Like it's a scene that
Yes.
grabs you and just like we're going for a ride and like pulls you
Yes.
in and you're just like, what is I think the first
Oh
time I even
man.
watched it, I remember seeing that scene and just being first, I loved Juliette Lewis
Oh,
like all the time anyway. But
she's the
when I
best.
saw that, I just
Cape
remember just
Fear.
being like, oh, Cape Fear, Dust from Dusk Till Dawn. And like,
Uh,
I was just like in love with her. And then with seeing this, I was like, oh my God. Like, it spoke to me. That scene,
she
just the way that she holds herself in that beginning part is just menacing.
Oh, she's so scary. And that she was supposed to come to a Monster Mania once. I don't remember if I couldn't go or if she canceled. I don't remember, but I really wanted to meet her. But anyway, hopefully she comes back. If you're listening, please come back.
Oh,
But
please, and
yeah,
call me.
yeah, right. That would be. Could you imagine if they got Woody Harrelson and her at a show? Oh my goodness, that
I
would
would love
be.
that. And Woody Harrelson,
Oh,
something I noted too is that these two people also are casted in roles that are like, for lack of a better term, like crazy, right? We
yeah,
know that they're kind of typecast for that,
yeah.
and to have them together to do it, that's great.
No, I mean
And I love
they're perfect.
and Oliver
Yeah.
Stone's quote of like when he hired Woody Harrelson, like why did he do it? He's like, I saw evil in him. I saw it in him. I
Wow.
saw that he was capable of it.
Do I want
And
someone saying that about me? I don't know.
and that's the mixed feeling, right? It's like, thanks.
Right, right. Thank you for thinking I'm so evil. I really appreciate this. This is
Like I
great.
guess because famously his father was a contract killer, so they always
So
like kind of pay
that
that
is
forward.
a
Yes,
wild story. For those that don't know that, yeah,
yes.
talk about that for a second, please, so people know about this.
I think that I remember. forgot his name, and I actually wrote it down somewhere else. But his father was a contract killer. He was in prison
Yes.
for a long time.
He's a
And so
hitman.
he's a hitman. Like
Yeah.
he's a hitman.
Yeah.
Wood Harrelson has kind of that demeanor. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of see it in him, I guess.
Yeah. I
And
mean, he's funny. Look, Cheers and, Kingpin and all that. But, and he's badass in Zombieland. And, like,
oh my God.
he's when I think of him, he's Mickey Knox. And that's just, I mean, that's who he is for me.
Right. And you have to remember it during this time, this is 94, right? So he's doing Cheers and he's doing, what's the other one that he was just in? White Man Can't Jump at that time.
Oh,
So
God, that's right.
two
Yeah.
movies that like have nothing to do with it. So to
Not so much.
pull him forward and be like,
Yeah.
you are good for this role. And then he gets these roles from here on out type of thing.
Yep.
Brilliant. Brilliant decision making.
It's incredible. Yeah, I mean, so I want to talk about this soundtrack. How great.
Yes.
All right, so Nine Inch Nails. We all love Nine Inch Nails.
Yes.
I think that song Burn is my favorite Nine Inch Nails song. What do you think?
I
What
love
are your
that song.
thoughts?
I love that song. And actually, I even tagged it, I think, when I posted my picture for National Born Killers. That was the song I used. I knew I was going to use
love
it
it.
right away. It was either that or L7.
Yeah,
So I decided to go with Burn. Though it's not my favorite Nine Inch Nails song, I would absolutely put it in top 5. My favorite is Wish.
Okay, that's a great song. That's a
I
great
love
song
that
too.
song.
Yeah.
Yes, but this soundtrack, this is one I don't own, and I have been on the hunt for it for a while. Every
The
time I've seen it,
soundtrack?
it's been outrageous. Yes,
I've got it on my back in my bookshelf here with some other CDs. I have it. I've got it.
I got it, and it's so good. I'm
Yeah.
looking at it right now in front of me. Like I put it in front of me because these songs are just incredible.
That's one of those ones that like Lost Highway soundtrack, right? Tremendous. You can just throw it in and let it go like the David Bowie stuff. But yeah, I mean, L7 Shitless is great. I think that was the first time I ever heard L7 too, was when I saw the movie when I was a kid. And then they're a great band, but I think that was the first time that I'd heard them. And
That's a great introduction to
oh,
them.
heck yeah. But yeah, Nine Inch, I mean, man, this soundtrack is so good. There's just nothing. It's one of those movies that I love everything about it. The movie, the soundtrack, just everything that goes with it. And of course, let's talk about Coca-Cola specifically was not happy because they're one of their famous polar bear scenes that they used to see. They dropped that in the movie because there was like these moments of like, what are we watching? Are we watching a real live show? So here's some commercials. And I guess Coke had agreed, but then they didn't know what they were agreeing to. And they saw the film and they were like, no.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I love it too.
I love it. Just like, do you want to sponsor this? Like, sure. Something similar, like this gives me the same vibes as we asked a local agency to sponsor one of our movies because we're like, oh, it's about drug use, and they're like, yeah, absolutely, here you go. We showed Train Spotting. I got the message across though.
Yeah, hopefully.
But Coca-Cola, yes, and I love that scene because it does feel like a commercial. It's so like Robert Downey Jr. also.
It even has the TV clicking noise they added in the edit and everything is perfect. It's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Oh. And so I think the whole thing, so I think Roger Ebert, he and his other guy, Siskel, whatever, if they were still around back then, they gave this movie like 4 or 5 stars. They loved it.
Which is so surprising to me.
And those two were kind of, they were hard to get, So I don't know. For me, this is a case of, and this is my opinion, this movie's point is pretty obvious to me. And it's like, okay, I get that you don't like it, but I hear people still saying they don't understand. Like, understand, what is there to understand? We're glorifying this because this is what we saw. We had this stuff on TV. We had these riots. We had this stuff like actually happening live. So this is the satire and the, hey, look at it. Here's a mirror. Here's a fucking mirror. Like, this is what we're doing. So you can't hate it and hate yourself, I guess, kind of one of those moments. I don't know. But
no, absolutely. It kind of reminds me of like the Oscar Wilde quote, right? Is like the book said the world looks at as moral as one to show your own shame. It's the same type of thing with this movie. It's like because we have absolutely become desensitized to violence on TV and we can put anything in front to like have these ratings. And we see that like there's death and destruction behind it. Like there's all these things that exist with it at the same time. And I think that, I think a lot of people don't like it too because of the violence. I think that's a big part of it.
It's fine. I mean, I get that.
And it's a huge point of the movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
One bad thing I'll mention, and this, I mean, you have to mention, I realize I love this film and all, but, you know, they say there was a connection with the Columbine kids in this film. They said, like, in their notes and their diaries, they loved this film. I mean, look, what can you say, right? I mean, they unfortunately love this film too, and they did something that was horribly, horribly terrible.
Absolutely.
But that's one of those things that, you know, like the whole heavy metal stuff. Well, my son killed himself because he listened to all this music and all these. I mean, can you like blame like the film or like the art? I don't think that's fair, though. I don't know, right?
Do you remember back in the day? I think it's Johann Vasquez, the one who did Invader Zim.
Okay.
He wrote a graphic novel called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Never heard of it. Sounds interesting. Good
Okay.
title. Yeah.
Yeah, a great title. So the whole concept was he's a homicidal maniac, but there is a pivotal part in that graphic novel that talks about this. And he's like, there's going to be violence on TV. Yes, you're going to be exposed to these things in life, and these are not guidebooks to damning yourself. These are meant for entertainment, and if you can't handle
Yes.
that level of entertainment, then you need to step back and know
There
your
you go.
limit.
There you
And
go.
like he puts it a lot more darker than I'm putting.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get, but that makes perfect sense. I mean, and this is the thing. Like this movie is you know, and it's definitely rated R, obviously, and I'm sure was it banned in a couple countries? Probably.
It
This
was
sounds like a movie
banned in
that got banned.
countries.
Video nasties, as they used to say, like in Britain or
Yes.
whatever, right? Yeah, the video nasties.
It was
Yeah,
like banned in a bunch of countries, and then I think they had to cut out, like you were saying earlier, Matt. Like they had to cut out so much of it.
they did. Yeah, I think they shot a bunch of scenes with other people, and wasn't like Ashley Judd in some uncut scenes or some cutout scenes or something like
I
that
thought
too.
I
I
heard
think.
something like that, which
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah,
I never saw. I don't think I've seen it, but
yeah.
I don't know. For me, this is look. Okay, now our program is a horror program. You and I both that's our thing. But I think that any horror fan could be wrong here. People vote if you're listening. Don't you love this film? I think so, and I think for me it's like The Crow. It's like the same thing. It's like that's like a superhero movie in a way, but I think it like fits this like genre deal. So I just needed to. Yeah, this movie's right. I need to talk about it. It's just
I love it. I
so
love it.
good.
I love revisiting too because I was like, oh, this is really heavy, and then I'm like, that's why I love it.
And like every 10 minutes, you get like that chuckle moment where someone says something funny or someone does something that makes you laugh, and it kind of keeps you like, oh man, this is terribly violent, but then it's like we talked about the shot where he's telling the joke and he gets the shotguns out about the kid at the drive-thru and he kills all the cops.
Yes.
And drop the donut, and it's like, okay, well that's funny. So
Yes. Well, and that's the whole thing, and that was something I was going to mention too, actually, is because they use that juxtaposition constantly throughout the movie in different ways of like there's like something really heavy going on, and then
Yeah.
we have funny, and we have it with Edie McClurg and with Dangerfield. These are two people who are known for their comedy acting, and now we have them in roles
Right.
that are very upsetting, and we have a
Yes.
laugh reel over it, and it
Yeah.
kind of like, what am I laughing at, or am I laughing nervously?
It's so
Just
much.
to get, yes,
There's
and it's
so much.
heavy because it's like
Yeah.
you could see the body language, just like in that scene too.
That really was great. So okay, let me ask you this then. Your favorite character and what is your favorite scene in this film? Or characters,
So
you could.
yes, oh no, that's for so I do love Tommy Lee Jones
He's great.
character in this
He's great.
because he's just so over the top. I would say he was one of them, but I love Mallory Knox because I love Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
what she brings, and that scene in the beginning is my favorite. Just
Yeah.
like just that
That's great.
transition, and
That's
I
great.
love the part with you see Mabel with all her name tags, and she's like, "Oh no, I'm good, Rosie."
I'm
Doesn't
pretty
get paid any
sure
mind.
I'm a big Seinfeld fan. I think Mabel, the actress, plays another waitress in a Seinfeld episode. I'm pretty sure, doesn't she? Do you?
Oh, you know what? That you may
I
be
think
onto
she
something.
does.
Mhm.
I think she does. Yeah, I think so. I think it's
You may be
kind of
onto-
almost, and I don't know if it's before Natural Born or after. I'm not sure, but I swear to God she is. All right, so what do you tell audience? If you like this movie, what should you watch?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I would say True Romance. I know I said that earlier
Yeah, there
too,
you
but I would
go.
say True
Yeah.
Romance. That is definitely one I would put in there. In California, that's another
Ooh,
one.
and that's Juliet with
That's
with
true,
Brad
and
Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Yep.
That is a sleeper. I've seen that movie only once, a long time ago, but I liked it.
Yes, and I feel like I would say a
Duchovny
lot.
in that movie?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right.
That movie gets slept on a lot, and I do.
Yeah,
Like, it is really, it's pretty disturbing of a movie too. But
it
those
is.
two give me the same type of vibes. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, and I'm just trying to think. There's a great point I was going to make about the film, and now I can't remember. Oh, so at some point I would like to adopt 2 dogs from the same litter, like brother and sister, and you know what I would name them, of course, right?
Of course.
Mickey and Mallory,
Mickey and
obviously.
Mallory.
I have
Yes.
wanted to do that for so long. So at some point, I'm going to get a brother and sister puppies from a litter,
Yes.
and they are going to be Mickey and Mallory.
Those names like Mickey Knox,
Yeah.
Mallory Knox, those are like banger names.
Yeah, they're hilarious. They are hilarious. So, oh my goodness, we could probably go on and on about Natural Born Killer quite forever and ever and ever. But I think we've stated what we love so much about it. I think so. So this was a fun hour. I'm glad we got to talk about this. So. For everyone, you guys have seen her on this program before, and you should be following her anyway at this point. But, Lisa, where does everybody find out and be able to follow you to see what you are up to?
You can follow me at Macaroni on Instagram.
And
that's what I'm on right now.
Not spooky spaghetti, not what is the line I know that you use?
Not creepy pasta or spooky spaghetti.
There you go.
But a horror macaroni.
So what new additions, by the way? You're the horror VHS queen. What have you got lately that's been adding to the collection?
Oh man, I'm trying to think. Oh, so I recently got Ghost Ship, which I have been on the hunt for some time. Campfire. That's
a Ghost Ship, the one with the amazing first scene with the slicing people in half, and the rest of the movie's garbage. Yes, that opening scene is amazing.
Garbage. We watched it last night.
Yes.
I was like, the opening scene's great, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure it dies off. It dies off quick.
Oh, it dies
I think
real
Gabriel
fast.
Byrne was in it too.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
There was a couple of lines that I actively rolled my eyes so hard that I think I gave myself a headache.
Man. So what else? What else have you picked up?
I found so recently I'm trying to it's going to be bouncing kind of all over, but I recently found Near Death, which is a very just bizarre looking indie movie.
I don't think I even heard of it.
We recently found a movie called Silence of the Hams.
Wow.
With John DeLuise.
Oh my God.
There were some lines in there that I was like, I'm kind of impressed.
Oh my God.
And then one of my bigger finds I found, I think it was in December, is Don't Open Till Christmas. I found that.
Okay.
VHS, which was every bit of horror Christmas, what you want,
Are you still? I think you said you were on the hunt for kids on VHS. Did you ever find that?
Not kids. I was on. I did find Gummo on.
Oh my
DVD,
God!
Though.
Wow.
At a thrift store recently, actually, I found Gummo for $1 on DVD. So I picked that up. I did. Wow. Yeah, that one. I am looking for Chopping Off. That is one that's
nice.
Top tier. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And Kevin Found from Outer Space.
Oh yeah. You know what you should rent on or buy on VHS? It's a fabulous. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm wondering VHS. Did you ever see a movie called Brick? With
Somebody mentioned
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
No, I haven't seen it. So this got mentioned recently I think I made a reference to something, and somebody mentioned Brick. I can't remember who.
It is awesome. And I just it's great to begin with, but I wonder if it'd be a good VHS because I watched it on demand. It was a low budget deal. Yeah, Gordon Levitt's in it. He's a big name, but it seems like it'd be a cool VHS get also maybe. But it's really total neo-noir thriller. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Oh, I will definitely check that out. Absolutely.
So for the audience, that's your free plug, your recommendation for everybody. So
nice.
All right, so everyone. You guys know, subscribe to wherever, if you're watching it on YouTube, please do. Email us at thescarymovieproject@gmail.com. Do you love Natural Born Killers? Of course you do. What is your favorite scene? What is your favorite character? Follow us on Instagram at The Scary Movie Project and Facebook as well. And we can't wait to see you guys again next time. But until then, Lisa, thank you very much. This is great.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is great. So we'll talk to you guys later. Later.
The Scary Movie Project podcast. Learn more at thescarymovieproject.com.